Alright guys, welcome back to Urge. We're moving on in the subclass series onto the next subclass, which is the Mastermind Roguish archetype. So, if you're new to the channel or to the subclass series, what we're going to do is we're going to go through all of the abilities gained in this subclass and then rate it based on how it improves on the base class in the categories of roleplay value, combat value, and overall class synergy. So, without any further ado, we're going to jump straight into it.
Boom. Level 3, you're getting 2 abilities, Master of Intrigue and Master of Tactics, because you are the Mastermind. Woo! That was good stuff right there. Master of Intrigue gets you a lot of nice passive stuff. Get proficiency with the Disguise Kit, a Forgery Kit, and 1 gaming set of choice, as well as 2 additional languages of choice. All of the fun stuff. Also, you can unerringly mimic the speech patterns and accent of a creature that you can hear speak for at least 1 minute, and when you're past yourself off as a native speaker of that particular land, provided you know the language. So you can really get yourself deep into the social aspects of a society very quickly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Master of Tactics lets you use the help action as a bonus action. Additionally, when you use the help action to aid an ally in attacking a creature, the target of the attack can be within 30 feet of you, rather than 5 feet of you. The target can see or hear you. So it lets you give somebody else advantage from a distance instead of having to be right next to said target. Simple enough.
Then, at level 9, we have Insightful Manipulator. If you spend at least 1 minute observing or interacting with another creature outside of combat, you can learn certain information about its capabilities compared to your own. The DM tells you if the creature is your equal, superior, or inferior in regard to 2 of the following characteristics of your choice between intelligence score, wisdom score, charisma score, and class levels, if any. At the DM's option, you may also realize you know a piece of creature's history or one of its personality traits if it has any. Then at level 13, we have Misdirection. You can sometimes cause another creature to suffer an attack meant for you. You're targeted by an attack while the creature is within 5 feet of you, granting you cover against that attack. You can use your reaction to have the attack target that creature instead of you. Kind of niche use, because how often are you going to be behind a creature within 5 feet of it?
Right.
While also having it grant you cover from another creature
who's at range. Right, yeah.
Probably not going to happen too often. I mean, you can kind of like try to position yourself between a melee target that you're attacking and a ranged target, but the thing is that ranged target can move, so it's probably not going to trigger too often. But when it does, it's going to be nice because you're going to have them take the full brunt force of the damage. So when it works, it's going to be great, but it's probably not going to work too often.
No, probably not. And finally, your capability is Soul of Deceit. Your thoughts can't be read by telepathy or other means unless you allow it. You can present false thoughts by succeeding on a charisma/deception check. You got to specify it's a deception check against the mind reader's insight check. Additionally, no matter what you say, magic that will determine if you are telling the truth indicates you are being truthful if you so choose, and it can't be compelled to tell the truth by magic, aka Zone of Truth, for example, would not have any effect on you necessarily. But I can still tell if you're lying if they beat you on that with the insight versus deception check. But you are a rogue, therefore you can put proficiency into that and take expertise in that, and you could lie and tell someone that gravity isn't real, as far as you're concerned or they're concerned.
Right. So those are all the abilities gained from the Mastermind subclass. So we're going to move into the rating section of the video, and first up we have the roleplay value. So, the asterisk, as always, guys, when we're looking at the roleplay value, we're talking about interacting with the world, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, things like that outside of combat. So, we're already going to be anticipating you acting out your backstory, history, lore, fantasy, all of that great stuff, acting out your abilities. When we're looking at the score here for roleplay value, we're talking about outside of combat scenarios, avoiding combat, etc.
Yep.
So, that being said, there's a lot going on in this subclass in the roleplay department.
Yes.
Master of Intrigue, you're getting extra languages, extra proficiencies. Being able to mimic, unerringly mimic, is pretty huge for the RP, depending on the campaign setting.
That's really cool,
yeah,
flavor-wise.
I think it's going to be pretty useful in most campaign settings. Just being able to, extra languages are always helpful. And obviously being able to mimic is pretty major, especially if you're trying to get in, into some places and things like that. Then you have, the Insightful Manipulator, we're able to learn about creatures' scores. It can be good for wisdom. If you're trying to deceive something, you might want to see if it's going to be, if you're going to be able to have an insight check against something. If it has really low, you're going to be like, I have a really good chance of deceiving this thing.
Dumber to box of rocks.
Or you might be able to have an ally cast something on it like a friend spell or something, that's gonna you have more confidence in it succeeding if you know what the scores are better or worse than yours, or if you be like, hey guys, don't use these spells, like I have to say it's not gonna work.
Let's not do that.
So definitely really big on that part of things. And then Soul of Deceit is actually pretty major when it works, when you can just straight up deceive things. And then the thing is, when someone uses Zone of Truth, they would not know that you're lying. They would, it's Zone of Truth. They know you have to tell the truth.
Right.
So they would.
That's how the spell is worded.
Right. So that can be pretty major if that ever does come up. And also the thing about being able to read minds, there's multiple creatures that have telepathy where they can read your minds or whatever, or have abilities like that. And to be able to deceive even those can be definitely really useful when it happens.
Yeah.
So 3 major abilities, all pretty useful. Some more than others, obviously. The whole mind reading thing is probably a little bit more on the niche side.
Yep. But super powerful when it does hit, though.
Yes, for sure. That being said, we went with a 4.5 out of 5 just because the RP abilities, though there are only 3, they are very potent in what they do.
And deep, too.
Like the level 3 ability is like, there's so much to it.
Yeah, forgery kit, disguise kit, 2 languages, gaming set, mimic somebody's accent. Like there's so
a lot
much
to that one ability.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
So definitely more an RP focused subclass for sure.
Yep. And when you, as usual, if you are great at one thing, you usually aren't at the other. And that's the case with this one. Definitely more of an RP focus. On the combat side of things, you really have just Master of Tactics lets you give somebody help as a bonus action, and more importantly, at range.
Right.
And that's definitely the good part there. So you can maybe get your one attack off. Or we kind of thought maybe go more as a ranged rogue. Take a shot with a short bow or a hand crossbow at range. You get your sneak attack, hopefully, and then you could grant the person who was nice enough to get in range to grant you sneak attack. Say, my bonus action, I'm going to forgo that. Would you like advantage, sir?
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, because their attack with advantage is probably going to do more than your second attack.
Than your offhand attack would do if you were in melee range anyway. Right. And then the other option, of course, is misdirection. Super niche because you're having to get hit by a ranged attack, and that person targeting you has to be in the same line of sight as the person that's blocking you. Think like solar eclipse, lunar eclipse has got to line up all 3 of those things in perfect order for that to work. So how often does that happen? Not often. Right. So same concept there. And then finally, Insightful Manipulator is one of those things. If you're able to basically, if you know you're gonna be fighting with something, and you're able to get your rogue's able to sneak in and watch it in its lair or whatever. You're seeing out in town if it's some person, some political figure you're trying to go after. Right. It could be a huge advantage to know, well, they've got a low wisdom score. Well, here comes a old person. That could be huge, but you've got to be able to do that outside of combat.
Right.
So ultimately, we went with a 2 out of 5 possible flumps for combat. Bonus action for help is nice. Misdirection is just super niche if you do ever get to use it.
Help most
and Self Manipulator can be helpful, but you've got to be able to observe something for a whole minute before you engage with it in combat in order to know that helpful information.
Right. I think, too, with Insightful Manipulator, if you are able to spend a minute observing, it's probably going to, it'll probably bump up that score slightly, but the big asterisk on that one is your DM's probably not going to let that happen too often.
Right.
So that's kind of why we decided to go with a little bit lower. But it is what it is. It is definitely more focused on the RP side of things.
Right.
The combat is not bad by any means, but it's definitely more on the niche use side of things.
Yeah.
And, with help, if you're using help and not using the light, weapon in melee, you're not going to get your second attack. But the reason you're doing the 2 attacks is to give you just another chance to hit your sneak attack.
Right.
So it's kind of like, do I take 2 chances to hit sneak attack, or do I forego my second chance to get sneak attack and just help?
Yeah.
So maybe you go first attack. If it hits, you sneak attack, and then you just help. And if your first attack misses, you use your second attack to try to get sneak attack again. Yeah. So it gives you options, but it is what it is.
It's probably how most of your turns would go, I would think, in combat.
But that's the combat. So on to the final section, which is the class synergy.
Yep.
Some interesting things here. Again, it definitely synergizes very well on the fantasy side of things.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we're talking about the mechanics here.
Right, yeah.
So things can get a little interesting.
That's a good way for it. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So like I was just saying with the help stuff, it kind of puts you in that interesting place between, do I help or do I try to attack again? And that can be awkward sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it kind of goes against the grain, especially if you're trying to stay in melee. I think most rogues, not all rogues, but most rogues, I think, try to get into the melee range of things.
Yeah.
And if you're in the melee range of things, you're probably going to be trying to just deal out damage yourself. Depending on your party composition, help could be really good, especially if you have like a paladin in your
for
party.
sure.
So depending on your party composition can be a major factor. A lot of times,
Crit confirmed smites. Oh,
yeah, for
would
sure.
be so great.
And then, I mean, misdirection. It is what it is. Insightful manipulator. I mean, it can be good when it works, but there's lots of niche uses with this on the combat side of things, and the RP side of things can definitely have some niche uses as well. So we want the synergy of two. It's solid, kind of interesting. The master tactics can be good, can be awkward depending on when you actually want to use help as a bonus action versus something like a disengage or the other options you have as a rogue. As bonus action, you have lots of options.
One of the few classes that has options at bonus action.
You have lots of options to do stuff with your bonus action there. So it's like, do I attack? Do I disengage? Do I try to help? So I mean, it's just another thing on the options are great and everything, but it kind of goes against your biggest thing is trying to get that sneak attack off, right? So I almost feel like this subclass is more of like utility helper subclass, which kind of goes, I would say, against rogue, because the rogue is like trying to get in and get that
burst damage.
Sneak attack is their thing. Sneak attack is, rogues are all about sneak attack. So this subclass doesn't really care too much about the sneak attack, I would say. It's more focused on helping allies. So goes a little bit against type, hence the hit to the score, I would say. It's not bad by any means.
No.
And depending on the campaign setting, it could actually be very good. Like the scores in combat and synergy, I think, could both be higher depending on, one, your party composition, two, the campaign setting. For sure. If you're in small, enclosed spaces a lot of times, misdirection is probably going to happen a lot more often. Which would make your combat much better, because you're going to be basically destroying the action economy, because you're going to be using your opponent's turns to hit each other. So in that kind of situation, your combat score is going to be higher than it
Or if you've got a really big party and you're always just involved in bigger combats, it's more likely to happen, But you're going with the average party size and average thing, what's more common, it's not that likely to come up.
Yeah, so that's the thing too, guys, with our scores. I mean, we're giving just a broad spectrum overview, top-down view of it. Campaign settings can make a huge difference on these for a lot of things, a lot of abilities for a lot of different subclasses, not just this one. But overall, I think it's pretty clear to see that this subclass is basically focused around the RP side of things, and that's what we feel like it does very well.
Very, very well.
So it's good to see specialized subclasses when it's like they're focused on one thing and they do that one thing well. And the other stuff is great when it works, but if it doesn't, that's not what you made it for. You made it for the RP. Right. So that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. I think that, try to keep it pretty short. I think I rambled a little bit on there, but it is what it is. But if you guys enjoyed the video, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so our new videos are coming out. If you have any comments about playing a rogue or with a rogue, or
hating rogues, do you hate rogues?
There you go. If you're a DM and you want to kill your rogue every session like me, let me know down below how you killed your rogue so I can use that. Just it is what it is.
I mean, our rogue is my cousin, so I don't really like him all that much. So it doesn't bother me that much.
I gave him too many magic items, and now he's a monster. So it is what it is. But guys, always appreciate all your support and everything. And as always, thanks for watching.